Hello, this is just a little update video of what I've been working on. For friends and family or people that don't know what I've started on, this is a 63 Chevy 2 Nova. I had a Chevy truck which I turbocharged, I sold it, and now I'm working on this. It does need paint, but it's straight, no rust, the bones are good. And yeah, this is an update so far. So when I got the car, the body kind of looks pretty much like it did. This motor was loosely placed in the car. And this is an update of what I've been working on because a lot of people ask how's it going. So we're going to start at the bottom of the motor. So the oil pan, I took that off. I drilled a hole in this side where that plug is. And I put that plug in there, and then on the other side, and I had to clean the oil pan real well, so that took some time, but it's all in there and sealed up. And on this side, this is a port for the turbo oil drain, so the turbo oil can drain back into the pan, and that's going to be turbo oil feed. That's pressure for the turbo. So I had to do those. I drill and tap this because it was just a blank. And then I drill and tap the pan. I did it on both sides. So if I ever did go twin turbo, I have drains on both sides. Or if I want to move the turbo to the other side, not use this side, I can just move the fitting. So I tapped both sides while I had it off. Need to get an oil filter for it still. And then moving up from the bottom, this is a weld-in motor mount, which I had to cut out of the car because I plan on moving the motor back a little bit. And then I had to relocate my ignition coils. And the way I did it, there's an easier shot on this side, is this is just an LS weld-in motor mount bracket from Speedway Motors. It came with the car when I bought it. What I did is I mounted this piece of angle iron. Runs back like this. And then I mounted it with 2 screws to this big square plate. Now, when I took the motor mounts out, they were just loosely in there too. And one of them was stripped out and I had to tap for a bigger bolt, so that took time. But the rest of them are the smaller factory bolts, so I had to re-tap that in the engine block for that bigger bolt. But so the angle iron is also notched right here so that the motor mount can fit in there and not hit the angle iron, because if the angle iron was straight down it would hit this. So I had to notch that, and then I drilled 2 holes in the angle iron and I ran all thread all the way across, and I cut little pieces of hardline, and the hardline just goes over the 1/4 inch all thread, and I put washers in there. But that's how all 4 of my LS coils are mounted, and I really like it. It's strong. And then I got these trick 90-degree spark plug wires because I have turbo headers, and the factory wires would have came straight out and hit the turbo header. Now there's pretty good room in between each of the spark plug wires, except for the back one. This one right here, that one's kind of tight, and I'll show you the air gap up top. But yeah, I've been working on this coil relocation, and then I'll have to wire to them. But I've relocated the coils and then installed these cool spark plug wires. And then going up, these are the turbo headers. Now, the reason why I had to relocate the coils is because on a stock LS motor, the coils sit right on top of the valve cover, and they would have hit the manifold, and they would have burned and melted. So that gave me a great opportunity to relocate them, and I think it looks way nicer than having the coils right on top of the motor. Now, since I was able to relocate the coils, what I did is I shaved the valve cover. A stock LS valve cover looks like this with a whole bunch of mounting holes where the coil bracket sits, and this is what was on there. I had extra valve covers laying around. I cut all those off, and then I shaved them, and then I painted them. Now, I love the color green. Pays tribute to one of my brother's motors that he built. He built one and he painted it green, so I really wanted to pay tribute to him and do it green. The valve covers that came on it were black like I just showed you. I wanted them green. So I think it turned out nice. Shaved the valve covers, they look great. I installed this 4-port steam coolant crossover. It's a factory one, but it wouldn't fit with the Corvette intake. And it fits with this intake manifold, which we'll go over in a minute. So it goes all the way to the back for the steam ports. And I shaved this is valve cover 2. Now this is actually 2 driver's side valve covers shaved and put on here, because the normal passenger LS valve cover has this huge oil filler neck, which is kind of ugly. I'll just have to pop this out and fill my oil through here and then pop it back in. But I like the way the valve covers came out. You know, shaved them down, painted them real nice. Those came out good. Here's my coil relocation on the other side. Now, this intake manifold, this is commonly referred to as a Trailblazer SS intake manifold. Some people call it the bread box intake manifold, not sure why. But I spent a lot of time on it, more time than I really would have wanted to. What it looks like factory is this. And it has all this plastic ribbing. It has unnecessary bolt holes. It has bolt holes back here, a big one right here. It looks ugly to me. And this car is for me, so I'm building it the way I want it. So I shaved this intake. All the plastic bits off of it. I ended up with 3 big holes. There was a big hole right here. There was a big hole in the center. And a big hole right here. Okay? So I had 3 big holes. 1, 2, 3. I cut a little metal piece. JB welded it in on all 3 holes. And then I sanded it. And then I body fillered the whole thing. And sanded the body filler down to 1000 grit fine. And I like how it turned out. There's one spot right here you can see on camera where the paint kind of orange peeled. I might go back over that with 1000 grit and retouch it up, but I wanted to do this video to let everybody know how it's going. I got this bracket, ordered this offline because it's normally an electronic throttle body. It'll be a cable driven throttle body. But yeah, I sanded it, smoothed it, shaved it, whatever you want to call it. And I think it looks great. I think it looks way better than what it would have looked like I just went to the junkyard, found some manifold, tossed it on there, and ran. I wanted to put just a little bit into it. I ordered injectors. They're on the way, so I'll put the throttle body in it. And, you know, it takes me 5 minutes to say all this, but it took me a couple weeks to do it. That's the frustrating part, you know. You wish it would be done way faster, but all this took time, but I like how it came out. I just ordered the belt routing for it, for power steering delete, because I'm on a manual gear rack. This will be a different pulley, but yeah. The motor's pretty much detailed out, all the way detailed out. And the next step is going to be I'm going to gut that trans, because I'm already going to rebuild it. So I'm going to take all the internals out of it, make it way lighter. I'm going to clean it up, the case real nice. And then I'm going to bolt it to the back of the motor. And then it goes into the car for test fit and fabrication. So the motor mounts that came on the car that are on the motor now, I had to cut off of here. Now, they were done pretty badly. They were hanging off the end, not even welded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld a metal plate that extends back here, just on this surface, and then the motor mount's going to sit like right here, and it'll weld to that plate, and then I'll gusset the plate on this back side. I'm also going to clean up the I had notched the firewall underneath the wiper motor, because the motor is going to sit all the way back, because I got all this turbo and intercooler and stuff going on up here, which I already made brackets for. While I'm in here, I'm going to clean up the engine bay some. I'm going to shave these holes, so I'm going to cut metal pieces that are the same size, weld them in, grind it all smooth and repaint it. Just these 3. The rest of the engine bay doesn't look that bad. I'll knock off any unnecessary bracketry that I don't need, like that. There's already a hole cut in the floor because the previous owner, which I got a big trans anyway, so I need to do, when I have the motor and trans in for install, I'm going to mock up and fabricate the trans cross member. So I'm going to have all this in, fabricate all this, pull the motor and trans back out, fully weld it all up, smooth those holes, and then the motor will be installed for good. And I can start doing everything else. I can mount I already made brackets to mount my universal aluminum radiator, my intercooler. I can mount all that stuff in there. I can show you how I made the brackets. I'm going to clean up the rack and pinion. I got to connect the steering. But that's next. That's what I'll be working on next, is gutting that trans, cleaning it, installing just the case on the motor, putting it all in for welding, mock-up, and install. And then when I pull it all out and I'm done with the engine bay and the welding, I'm going to start rebuilding that trans. Yeah, it's great. Very thankful for Christmas. I got this water pump, which I needed, new water pump, new thermostat, new molded hose because it's bigger on this side than it is on this side. For Christmas, I also got these trick spark plug wires, and for Christmas, which is kind of a big, I think might be a big job, I don't know, I got the replacement window because that window is broken. So I got the replacement side window for Christmas as well. So I got a lot for Christmas. There's parts inside the car, turbo and intercooler, good stuff. Interior's pretty good. And yeah, so that's the progress. That's how it's coming along. And that's what I'll be doing. That's what I'll be working on. Is engine bay mock-up, install and welding the brackets. Thanks for taking the time to view this video. You got any suggestions or comments, feel free to leave them. All right.